not violate and enhance the town center, and can be done within the cost that we've outlined. Let's see. Okay, class sizes, as I mentioned, exceed the state requirement. The average new construction in the state is about 900 square feet per class. The state recommends 900 to 1,000, and the going ratio is you're supposed to have 30 feet per student. Luckily, our class sizes are 20 to 22 children per class. We're all aiming to try and keep it low like that. So if you do the math, our classes are more than ample at 30 feet a square, or 30 feet per student. Let's see. Okay. So that is it on the costs. I just want to mention that these plans are consistent with what we know to be true in other projects around the Commonwealth. One of the schools we visited was the Lincoln School in Melrose. Oh, have you got a picture of it? That's the McCall School. Nope, that's the Lincoln School in Winchester. Hang on, I'm looking for a photo. Is that it? There we go. There we go. This is the Lincoln School in Melrose, and they basically have 20,000 square feet of the original building, and they've added, what is it, 40,000? It's about the same size as the Batcheldor School. It's 60,000 square feet. This is the original building. Here's an addition. This will show you the addition from the side view. I'm not sure which way it is, but anyway, this was a $10 million project. They just opened this past September, and the project was done. The school was offline 1 year. I think it was done in 12 months, right? Okay. Our architect worked up 2 alternative plans. We've just shown you the one we prefer. Because the site is ample, there are other options that are possible. And I'm just going to, again, we'll put the drawings out so you can look at these. We don't have these on overheads. But here's another one where, all right, this is the view of the side elevation. Hang on.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. This is the, maybe I'll shut this off.
No, the light is
Actually,
good.
the light is good.
Oh, all right,
Okay,
good. All right, good. We'll leave it on.
Can you get it on?
This is the view from the common. If I were standing at the oak tree, I'd be looking across. And this one would have the gym coming forward like this from the back end of the wing. And it would actually have the main, and this would be, sorry, this is the addition, and then the gym, you can imagine, is coming forward. And the main entry would be up at the juncture of the wing and the original building. I mean, it's appealing, you know, in that you've got an entrance really in the core of the building. If you can see it there, the gym comes forward. Okay, can everybody see that?
We can come afterwards and look. We'll keep it separate. So
Yeah, we'll keep it separate. This is what we call Plan A, and what we just walked through is Plan B. The other thing that this allowed for was the creation of a pre-K and K campus up in the original, you know, Batcheldor building, the old part. But on the other hand, that keeps the kids way away. The smaller kids are farthest from sort of the core of the building, so we didn't like that either. The reasons we preferred the current plan that I just showed you, the Plan B, is the footprint is tighter, so there's less new construction, so it's less costly. The view from Route 62, we don't think is as pleasing on the plan with the entry, you know, at the juncture of the 2 older buildings, but rather we prefer that beautiful entry facing south that echoes the original building is more aesthetically pleasing. And it has a symmetry to it. You see the building on the hill echoed again in a more modern interpretation of that same architecture down on the ground. And then the other thing is that with this plan that we showed you, the amphitheater can be left, or if one didn't want it, one could create a cascading sort of knoll that echoed the knoll or the profile of the hill on the green. And yet another possibility would be to take the plan I've just shown you and rotate that southern addition 45 degrees and have the entrance face the common. I mean, we couldn't go through it all, but we wanted to stay with one plan and just show you. This is to illustrate what can be done. So as you can see, there's more than one possibility. We wanted to show you that the ed specs could fit into a renovated and expanded Batcheldor school and done efficiently and cost effectively in a way that was aesthetically pleasing and sympathetic with the town center. I've shared the documentation that we have on the Batcheldor School with a number of the design and construction professionals that attend our shows, and they concur that it's a very doable project and a worthwhile project. We've also talked with a number of other towns that have struggled with the old versus new school debate, and I know it's a difficult one and it divides communities. I showed you, this is the, I'm just showing some other projects. This is the back of the McCall Middle School in Winchester. The old building's up front. This is an addition, and they made their library, again, with those great palladium windows that's flooded with light. Looking for the other one. Here's a building in Quincy. It's the Quincy Point Webster Middle School. Nope, look for this one. Okay. We're not alone. As Steve said, we're not unique. Communities across the country are struggling with the same issue. Here are just a few. Last month's Architecture Magazine cover article was about reusing existing schools, and they had a 2-page spread of just some of the schools around the country that have been saved and put back online and are back in use and will stay that way hopefully for generations to come. I don't think we're here, anyone in Massachusetts on this one. On the facing page, a couple of our projects here in Massachusetts were located. At any rate, luckily when the old schools have prevailed and the dust has settled, a lot of the legacy of the battles over the new school and old school have healed the wounds and made for a stronger community. And all parties, both old and new school proponents, have been really happy with the results, to be honest. Beautiful architecture is preserved. The town center gets revitalized or made stronger and healthier. The teachers are ecstatic with the end result usually at the end of the day, and so are the students. And if you're at the Hood School on Sunday, you saw what a facelift can do to the spirits. The teachers there that I talked to are really happy. New flooring, more light, windows that work and keep the cold out, and fresh paint and so forth. We can provide that same experience for the Batcheldor teachers and students, and at the same time create an architectural jewel that will be a source of our civic pride for years to come. So I thank you, and I guess we'll open it up now to questions. We have 25 minutes, so, right? Okay.
Any questions?
What do you think?
Yes.
The timing, have you had a contractor confirm the ability to construct it in a 15-18-month time frame? My only concern with what you described is, I'm sure anything like that is possible. It always comes at a cost, so did they say they could do that on a straight time? Or, yeah, you could do it, but you're gonna pay some more? I want to make sure that that cost reflects the timing.
One case in point is the Lincoln School in Melrose.
Explain what they did.
Yeah, well, they had a similar, much tighter footprint. The parking lot is right up against the neighbor's fence. It's much tighter. We have a picture of the footprint here, but I don't want to go into that much detail. It was a 40,000 square foot existing old schoolhouse. They took out 20,000 and put in new an additional 20. So they ended with 60,000 square foot schoolhouse at a cost of about $10 million, under $10 million. They came in. The school was offline for 1 year. And I talked to the custodian who was kind of intimately involved with the whole thing, and the thing was online, on schedule, and slightly under budget.
But have you had any, there are going to be examples that everyone will point around. Have you asked a contractor who would build this?
Well, Jim Alexander.
Well, I didn't
Yeah,
talk
that's
directly
true.
with the contractor, but we talked at length with Jim Alexander when we toured the building and after that. And he said, if you have the proper architect who is used to doing these kinds of projects, and they usually have a cadre of contracting and construction firms that work with them, that they know the drill. There's no surprises in this. It's done all the time. And his estimate was 12. I was rather shocked. We're preferring to go with 15 to 18.
I'm Brian Haas, 116 Elm Street. You did a good job presenting your numbers. They're really informative. But you're telling us that you're going to save us millions. And my guess is it's when you get to the bottom line about what to do with the backs. Now, that is not an integral part of the Swan Pond project. I know what you're saying. We have to that's what we could possibly spend to do something with the backs. But that cost is really assigned to another project. In other words, that has nothing to do with the Swan Pond School. So, under both some scenarios, we're talking $12.5 million for either school, give or take.
Yeah,
And
this
in
is
one
what I
case,
thought.
but in one case, neither school is gonna be any better than the other school physically plant-wise, correct? I mean, both schools are architecturally, they're gonna offer, you know, one has a little better here, one has a little better there. The one deciding factor is what you haven't convinced me on, dollar for dollar, okay, we're even, and you know it's even. In that your $5 million down, it doesn't belong on this sheet of paper. And you know it doesn't, because if you both worked in project management, which you have, you compare projects as alike. Now, for you to say that this project is $5 million belongs here, I could turn around and say to you.
$7 million.
Okay, even $7 million. If I turn around to you and say, in 2 years, this town needs another building, and that is gonna cost us $8 million, I can turn around and say, well, you gotta put that $8 million over here because we have the Batcheldor for $5 million. So you see what I'm saying?
I
That-
understand.
That $5 million is out of the picture because you're saying it's part of the Batcheldor project, and it is not the Batcheldor project. And that's my complaint when you, Mr. Smith, Mr. Rowe, and Mr. Bacon get up here and say, we're gonna save you millions. You're not saving us millions. All you're trying to do is say, the cost of this project over here, the Batcheldor, is part of the Swan Pond, and you know it's not, because the town may need another building, and we may have to front $8 million for that building. That's when you say, okay, the Batcheldor project is $5 million, this other building is $8 million. You're comparing apples to apples. So from that standpoint, I think your numbers, you're skewing them.
I
you're-
pointed out the
Right.
line
Oh,
where.
yeah, I really thank you for bringing that point out, that, so for dollar, we're talking, the building costs are the same. My concern is relocating these kids. Now, as educators, you cannot sit up there and tell me, when you take a kid out of his learning environment and you move him to another environment, it's traumatic. And now you're talking potentially 2 groups of classes being moved twice in 2 year, I mean, conceivably, you're talking a kid could be stationed over at the, back here 1 year and then behind the little school.
It's 1 year.
But conceivably, if you go 18 months, that child could wind up in 2 different locations, correct?
We believe it can be done with 1 year.
Well, but no,
offline
but
and summer.
assuming all scenarios, that is a possibility, correct?
It's a real possibility.
Right, so for $12 million, what we're really caring about is the child's education. Right? So dollar for dollar, doesn't my 12 million buy my son a better education?
What goes on in the building is education.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So what you're saying,
Actually, I'll give a case in point. I grew up, and I think there are other people with similar advantage. I grew up in probably the worst space crunch in history. the baby boom. All right, I was the same age, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
Okay.
Born in 46.
Born in 46, well, I'm
no, sorry,
younger
class
than
of
you.
77 is where I bigger number.
Yeah,
No, no.
that was a big
In absolute terms,
bubble.
but not
Yeah.
relatively.
Yeah, but.
I would have graduated in high school in 1964, but I was a high school exchange student up in the Northwest. My graduating class in 1964 was 89 kids, but I graduated in 1965 high school, 192 kids. Two fathers came back, and we're talking serious bulge. And so all my life I was in Quonset huts, and I got into Stanford University, so it wasn't fatal.
Right. What I'm saying is, for the money, your plan makes us relocate our kids.
One time, not, yeah.
No, make one time for some children, but if a kid is one of those scenarios where he's going from the grade level to the next grade level, that gets put from point A to point B, that child could be bounced around to 2 separate locations. He doesn't get an attachment to a school, which you all seem to think is important. In other words, everybody's like, the batch. You get an attachment to the batch. What's this kid's attachment? To a modular classroom over here? And to you know what I mean? But basically what I'm trying to tell you is that, yeah, you've got sound arguments, but again, it all goes back to, the selectmen here keep telling us it's about money, all right? The money's the same. The money's equal. You're talking 12.5.
If you're adding to the taxpayer, the money's not the same.
Well, what are you adding?
You're adding the construction costs of the batch.
Right, they're equal.
To go to your other example, I believe about 5 years ago, some kids went to the little school for a couple of years and then went up to the hood school.
Right, but we have a chance to stop that this time.
But
Right, we're
it was
here. We
it
can
was
stop
okay
that,
then,
right?
and it worked. It was okay then and it worked.
Right, but we can stop that right now, can't we, for equal money? But for equal money,
Actually, I talked with a soccer
right?
mom last
See,
night.
you keep arguing, it's money. You're gonna save us millions.
Yeah, I'm not.
And you're
lying.
not.
This- All right, I'm.
Right.